Or Scott Crawfish forbid my detailed analysis of Nightmare Fredbear's toes.
I can't believe I'm unironically doing this. So I made the remastered version of my Midnight Motorist theory. In that original video, I suggested that the animatronic outside was Nightmare Fredbear, or the real counterpart to Nightmare Fredbear, assuming it's an illusion, or something that Mike's mind is fabricated, or something like that. Also, FNaF's Midnight Motorist theory has something like this, but with Funtime Freddy being the thing outside. A common counterpoint against this was that the toe count was wrong, and the toe design is wrong. And that got me thinking, who does have the correct toe design? Assuming Scott cares super precisely down to the toe shape, design, and number, who would be a correct candidate for it? And the answer is no one! Let's talk about the characters we can immediately eliminate, even assuming Scott doesn't give a shit about toe design. Baby, Ballora, Rockstar Foxy, the Puppet, any Balloon Child, Music Man, and any Chica other than maybe Rockstar Chica and Funtime Chica. I know that's probably a hard truth to accept for the people who believe Music Man kidnapped Kelsey to bring him to the DCI, but to that crowd I'd say, I just don't think that theory is what the minigame is trying to imply. I know it's a great narrative and headcanon, but it just can't be true. Okay, let's talk about the first category of thing, which is toe shape. Toe shape automatically knocks out the toys and Funtimes. They both have square toes. If we're talking toe count, our candidates drop all the way to Bonnie, Foxy, and Freddy, though Foxy would have to be full intact, Gold Freddy / Fredbear, Shadow Freddy, and Scrap Trap. Though if you think it's specifically the number of toes and not the shape that counts, you can bring back in the toy animatronics and Funtime Chica. And I guess technically the Glamrocks, but that doesn't make much sense anyway. Now let's get into what no character has. If you look at the toe shape, there's a gap between the 3 rounded toes and the base foot. No character has 3 separated segmented toes that are rounded. In fact, segmented toes aren't even a thing typically in the series in general. The toys in Funtime Chica have 3 segmented toes, but they're clearly defined in this cubic shape, and they're still connected to that base body. Now, what is interesting is a character who gets closest, funnily enough, is the Funko figure of Funtime Foxy, who has 3 rounded toes that are slightly separated. Not really, it's still basically connected to the base foot. The Rockstars all have rounded toes, and they're kind of segmented, but like the Funtime Foxy Funko, they're still mostly connected, and they have a toe count 4, and shouldn't even chronologically exist yet, unless Midnight Motorist is something happening in the present. One thing that did cross my mind is that the Endo O2 design kind of has a demarcation to it and his 3 rounded toes. Also, we can see in the Help Wanted model of Withered Freddy that he does have separation patterns on the bottom of his feet, but that's assuming that model was made that way, and we can never see that, so there's no way Scott would be like, they must know that Withered Freddy has patterns on the bottom of his feet that they could never see. And that's even considering this argument where Scott is super precise and specific with how he designs his character's toes. But there is one wild card design at this point. I'm not even talking Glitch Trap. He has the correct toe count, but he doesn't have the correct toe shape like the prior ones. But there is one Maverick potential concept that I thought of that might fit. And if he'd only been discovered recently, then maybe, just maybe, the completed Spring Bonnie model, hidden inside the code of a prior version of Help Wanted, will give us the answer to this. I had to track it down on Twitter, find someone who'd found the RIP model and extrapolated it, and boot it up into Blender, but I can finally check whether the toe count and segmentation on the bottom is correct. No! But